Hello, everybody, and welcome to a slightly different episode of Amazona Futuro. For those of you who've been keeping up with the series, this was my first sort of full Planet Zoo series that I started on the channel, and it's very much been sort of text commentary only. So I thought I would jump in with a bit of a live commentary and do a bit of a review of the zoo so far. The other reason for this, those of you who have been following the channel recently, first of all, thank you very much for that. But secondly, you know that Monday is not usually a day I upload videos on. It's usually Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. I've noticed on my channel recently that I've sort of maybe tried to do too many games at once. I feel like my channel's suffered slightly from trying to spread myself too thin. So I'm trying to sort of focus back on Planet Zoo a little bit, which seems to be my most successful game so far. And it's the game I enjoy. It's sort of the reason I got back into doing YouTube in the first place. So here we are. I thought I would just put one out on a Monday. It might mean more Monday videos, specifically of Amazona Futuro to keep the series going. I've not quite decided yet, so we shall see. But for now, I thought it'd be nice just to have a little tour around the zoo while I talk you through my thinking on a few bits. Because yeah, from here it's a slightly odd looking zoo. I can understand that. So we're going to go sort of episode by episode that we've done so far. So perhaps for those people who haven't been keeping up with the series, this might be a good jumping on point where you can quickly see what we've done so far and in what order, so you can maybe see the vision a little bit, or just see how insane I am either way. But yeah, let's go. So a lot of this was built off camera, to be honest. This whole car park section was built completely off camera. I sort of started building this, and as I was building it, I thought, oh yeah, that looks quite good as an entrance. Maybe this could be something. So as you can see, I went a bit mad. I even, customized the signs on the buses and things, and I made some little EV charging points with their own signs on it. Yeah, I had more time back then to do this sort of stuff. So as you can see, this nice big entranceway into this car park, and then we got onto the first episode. So before I sort of talk you through the build of this entrance, I should probably give you some quick history on this zoo more than the series, the sort of concept behind this zoo. So the concept of this zoo was basically based on the sort of tropical modernist architecture movement. So a big proponent of that was Oscar Niemeyer. I think I'm saying that right, Oscar Niemeyer.
Oscar Niemeyer.
I do apologise if I'm getting that wrong. But especially this building here was based on a lot of his designs that you can see around Brasilia and a lot of South American cities as well. This sort of very organic open air structure, natural materials, sort of bringing the inside outside, that sort of viewpoint. And I really like the arches that he has on a lot of his buildings, so I tried to sort of recreate those. Not sure how successful they were, but I kind of like them anyway. So yeah, a lot of the basis for the zoo was based on that. So from there it sort of expanded into this idea of a zoo built in the Amazon, or at least in Brazil or in South America somewhere, that sort of showcases local animals rather than more exotic ones. The idea was sort of, as the Amazon is slowly destroyed and these species are under threat, this facility here is kind of designed to educate local people more than anything about the sort of animals that they'll be losing, to give them a space to come and view them in a not so natural habitat, but sort of based, as you can see, in the jungles. The initial idea was to put it on some old farmland, but I couldn't find a map that fit this sort of idea. So we're currently on this very strange mountainside, hence why the road just sort of disappears, presumably off this cliff, from what I can tell. Just yeah, we're killing a lot of people with that entrance, but it's fine. They'll survive. Yeah, so that was sort of the idea, was using local South American species in a South American zoo as a sort of safe haven for them from the areas around them. So that was the plan. There is a bit of a story with the zoo if you've watched the series, but I won't go into that now. We'll just jump straight into the entrance build. So we've got this huge wide entrance here, which gives a good sort of vista point as you arrive. You've got obviously the entrance there, an information stand and a gift shop. So you'll be able to see this as you're driving along, but it's sort of obscured by the trees because, again, I wanted that sort of modernist tropical thing of it blending into the environment. So there are spaces on this road where you get a good viewpoint. I'm doing some terrible camera work here, I do apologise. And then you drive into this car park, park up, walk across here, which of course even has fake stop signs because, like I said, I had a lot more time when I built this. And then you go onto this large open plaza with a few sunshades, because obviously we are in South America, it's 37 degrees. So the idea would be to come down this main entrance. I've sort of, some people may have noticed this in some of my builds. I've had to sort of bodge it by putting a guest spawner here. The idea was they would all spawn here and walk across, but the two problems with that were some of them weren't even making it to the entrance before turning around, and if they did get to the entrance, they all came through the gift shop, which wasn't ideal. I mean, ideal, from a financial perspective, but not quite what I had in mind. So, yeah, we've got this entrance here just to sort of encourage people to walk down the main streets. If I just hit play, as you can see, people will stream down here into this nice, big, wide, open entrance. So let's follow them in. So you get to this sort of, I guess, courtyard area, which sort of splits into the three. So the idea would be as you're leaving to go in the gift shop, but you may want to go into the gift shop before you go into the zoo. Ignore the fact that you walk through some walls. The pathing system is not my friend on this map. Or you have the restaurant, so again, you could do the restaurant first and then go into it. So we'll start with the restaurant, actually, because I'm quite proud of this, really. So as you can see, we've got this sort of open restaurant here, so the guests queue up here, go through, and they can find the tables. They've either got seating down here, or there's a sort of upper bar, so you can sort of look down. There is eventually going to be more stuff here, but just for the moment, there's just an information stand. I've got more plans to go here. I'm hoping I've left the space, sort of. The idea is to have some sort of habitat that sort of fits into this space here, so the animals can pass through. So while you're eating, you might be able to see, maybe some sort of species of monkey going through, or something anyway, occupying this space. But for now, it's a bit open and sparse, but it works. People come to the information stand, and we've got a lot of these natural living walls around the zoo, which I'm really happy with, especially this one with the little frogs poking through. So yeah, that's that area. But the restaurant itself, I'm happy with. Lots of nice seating. I like the elevator space there, with the natural materials or the matching materials. There is a bit of dead space here, but again, we can think of something to do with that later. I was going to put some screens there with some sort of custom-made assets, but I've not quite got around to that yet. People are disappearing. That's always worrying. But I really like the sort of open restaurant theme. I think that's really, really interesting to have. So as you're sat here, you can see them preparing your food. Probably not nice for the workers, but they'll be fine. They'll be fine. So if we leave the restaurant, we can go across to the gift shop. There is some stuff around here, which we'll get to. But we've got this big open gift shop here, which, again, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It was quite an intense build to get all of this stuff looking nice and neat. So we've actually got two... The roof is not my friend either. We've actually got two cashiers on either side, so that's just how big it was. We're getting massive queues out the door, so loads of stuff here. We'll get to the capybara babies, don't worry. And this leaf wallpaper, not something I often use, but I quite liked it in here. Maybe could do with a bit of tidying up, but again, we'll get to there. And then just some accents on the roof, just to add a bit of interest attached to the glass. Obviously, everything's very glass fronted, so you can see the surroundings, see the trees poking through. Again, it's that concept of keeping the indoors and the outside and the outdoors connected, keeping you connected to nature even when you're inside. So this is supposed to be the official exit. We've also got this sort of natural, well, not really natural, but this open garden with misters in it. The idea being we're sort of cultivating plants here. So it was supposed to be a sort of quiet space for guests to come and sit. Obviously, they don't use it, but if you sat here, you've got this nice view. Again, there's going to be information boards up and down here eventually, with a nice little vine motif across the walls. And the idea was that as you can see, some people use it as an entrance, or after seeing this, and then as you're leaving, we've got some just the box habitats or exhibits. I can't actually remember what's in here. I know there's some spiders and some frogs, but in fact, it was Titan beetles, but yeah, they're not there anymore. Something we need to resolve. So the idea is, as you're leaving, you get one last look at some little creepy crawlies, and then you can leave the zoo. Ignore the bath. There's going to be a lot of sort of ignore this or ignore that. There's a lot in this zoo where when you sort of zoom in, it might not work as well. It's all stuff that I'm going to do probably a special episode on at some point, of going through and fixing up some of my mistakes and making everything nicer. But for now, let's actually enter the zoo. So you come straight out into this big open fountain here, and the whole sort of build concept has been keeping this view as it is. So this big mountain in the background. I don't want anything to really obstruct that building-wise. Obviously, some trees in the way is fine. It sort of adds to the 3D effect of it. But say this building here, I wouldn't build a building slap bang here. I'm trying to keep everything low, so you've got that view of the mountain there. So then we moved on to the very first episode, which is where we moved on to the sort of story side of it. So in the universe, in story-wise, the idea was that this building was thrown up quite quickly. We suddenly got the opportunity to get some ocelots into the zoo, so they quickly had to put a habitat together, which is why it looks a little bit brutalist, maybe a little bit sort of put together rather than some of the more fancy buildings we'll get onto. But I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. I think they've got loads of open space in their shelter here, which they seem to spend a lot of time in. We've given them a little climbing frame as well. We have a little staff area back here, so just some feeding zones. And then in here we've got the tools that they'll need. Again, some old boxes and stuff that haven't been thrown out yet. So we've got this frontage here for the staff. And again, some of this natural wood material sort of fitted in. And then a few accents on the wall just to brighten it up. Then we come into their outdoor section, which is covered in mesh and chain link. You can see one of them climbing back there. So very simple, again, just to get the guests as close as possible to the animals. There will be some planting in this open space here, maybe a guest fence as well, just to add to the realism. Got a little baby ocelot in there as well. So these have been in here pretty much from the start, and they really seem to like this habitat. They've even got a little secret garden here with a few more climbing bits, just so they can escape guest view and have a little quiet moment themselves, which is why it's called Ocelot Garden. So yeah, that was the very first episode, which feels quite a long time ago now. Then we moved on to the second episode and the first really big project, which was the tropical house. Now, why we have a tropical house in a tropical zoo, I can't really answer that one for you. It wasn't really in my thinking when I built it, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, especially with the matching the roof here with the sort of sloped roof. I just think it works really well for this design. A little bit of a bodge here with some exhibits, so there is a path behind it, but in reality, that's not there. So don't look at it. Don't look at it. And obviously, we've got the glass fronting on here. This was a very involved build. I'm really happy with how it turned out. We've even got the planting at the front here. So in here we have the sloths as four walk-through habitats. So obviously you walk in here. Straight away you get told where you're going, a little hand sanitizer, and you are straight into sloth habitat. And there you go, straight away, a little sloth there. Is it going to let me click on the sloth? No, it won't let me click on the sloth. That's just cruel. Come on, give me a sloth. Give me a sloth. No, okay. Anyway, so there's loads of sloths in these habitats now. I do actually need to go through and sort it out and make sure they're not overcrowded. But for now, they seem happy enough. So as we go through here, you've also got a food prep area. So obviously in Planet Zoo, staff facilities impact guests negatively, but in real life it's a great privilege to be able to go and see how animals are cared for. So I thought I'd mimic that here with a little food prep area. So there's two separate keep huts in here where they prepare the food for them. So the idea would be the guests can come here, have a little talk with the zookeepers, see how they prepare for it, and then maybe pay for like a VIP experience to go and help feed the animals. Or maybe they can come here and pay so much money to be given some food, which they can then go and give to the animals. So again, quite a simple structure in here, just the two, but from the outside it looks quite realistic, if I do say so myself. Also notice this river motif running all the way through, just a nice little backdrop for everything. So then as we walk through, we've got more and more sloths all over the place. There are hundreds of them. I'm actually getting quite concerned now. There's an army forming here. And if you look up here, you can also see some misters going on with some lights. So if I do turn it to nighttime, the lights won't come on. Ah, they will. Okay, so I've turned the lights right down. So there is some light, but it's not sort of glaring spotlights. So just lights up the key areas. Let's just turn it back to day, just for the ease. I will turn it to rain at some point as well, because it's really nice in here when it rains. You can hear it pattering on the glass, but everything in here is nice and cozy. We then have our red tree frogs. I think they're all red-eyed tree frogs. Yeah, they are. They're all three things of red-eyed tree frogs, which you can't really see. There's a couple there. Okay, they proved me wrong by being immediately visible, so that's nice of them. So again, just something different to look at, a little stop-off point. If you want to have a rest, you can sit here and watch the frogs. In fact, there's another one there. Great. So let's move on to the last sloth habitat here. Again, absolutely rammed full of them, but they are adorable, so that's fine. Now, as we've been going through here, and as has just been revealed there, you might have been hearing some monkey noises going on. That's because the tropical house actually has two species. It has sloths and a rather large troop of capuchin monkeys at this point. In fact, I imagine we're probably due a clear out at some point. So we've got 11 of them, so actually they're just about okay. There is a bit of... yeah, a few problems there. A few of them getting quite old, but that's fine. So yeah, again, they seem really happy in this habitat. There's lots of climbing, lots of verticality for them. I tried to sort of mimic the sloth's climbing frames for the capuchins. So when you stood here, I think it works quite well because, you know, from here it looks like the same sort of structure. So it almost looks like the capuchins could just jump about the entire tropical house, but in reality they are contained here, you know, for the confines of the game. So, and they love their piano, which is always nice. And they've got a little tree house here. They probably do need a bit more hard shelter at some point, but for now, I think it works really well. And obviously with the glass up there, it means they still get lots of natural light. They're not hemmed into a tiny little box. They seem to like it. So yeah, that's the tropical house. Again, quite a huge structure, almost as big as the entrance in some ways. And again, keeping this fin pattern here and the sloping roof. Yeah, this is probably one of the builds I'm happiest with in my entire time in Planet Zoo, really. So yeah, very much enjoying that. Then we move on to something not animal related, but the staff building, which to me still looks like a giant squid. Again, I still don't know if I hate that or not, though, really. I quite like it. It does look like a squid, but I like it. So we built this off the road to give the sort of staff their own little entrance. Obviously, it doesn't quite follow road hierarchy, but we'll gloss over that. At the moment, staff have to drive all the way through and then turn around and come back, which doesn't quite work, but oh well. So here's the staff building. So the idea was to sort of separate it off from the rest of the zoo, but give them a really nice space to come back to. So all the facilities are in here in this nice open air glass covered dome. They've even got their own little picnic area out the back here. So yeah, just not much to say about it really. I do in some ways like it. I think it could have been a bit better, maybe made better use of the space. But this is only one staff. Hello, there's a tree there. This is only one staff building. There will be more staff buildings further into the zoo. I am planning to sort of try and fill this entire space. So as you can see, we've got quite a long way to go still. So there will definitely be another staff building somewhere, which maybe if we build something a bit better, we might replace this, or we might copy this and use it elsewhere. Who knows? But yeah, I think for now it works. It's got all the facilities in it anyway, so the staff can get on with the jobs, which is the main thing. Then after that, in the next episode, we built this, started this sort of wetlands area. This is definitely something I want to revisit. I think in some ways, from some angles, it works really well. From other angles, I don't like looking at it, to be honest. There are a few bits of this that were quite rushed. I wanted to keep the basic concept of having this really big, long river, which we ended up splitting into two with some chain link. So we've got two sets of caimans in here. So two big family groups. And this viewing area here. But there are a few sort of zones of it I don't like. I don't like the waterfall. I think it looks too sort of slapdash, and I mean the rock work does work and make it a bit better, but yeah, this could have been better implemented, so it might be something we review. I think the riverbank could do with a lot of work, especially as you get closer to the bridge. The bridge itself, I don't mind too much. When I first built it, I wasn't sure, but sort of the more I look at it, the more I like it. Covering up the basic path with some wooden planks and some fence work and logs. I think it does work, so I'm okay with that. And then over here, the staff area here, again, it's almost too simple. I think this definitely needs a bit more work, and it means that these caimans don't actually have a shelter, which I don't think they particularly need anyway. They can go under the bridge if they want some cover, but it would be nice to give them a sort of more indoor area. I don't mind the actual basic shape of this building, but yeah, I think this could definitely do with some development. So, and the wetlands area in general, we'll come on to it because we've got another wetlands habitat here, but the way the river just sort of meh, it just starts and then just meh. We don't want a river to meh, we want it to flow. So yeah, it's definitely something we will revisit as we sort of build up the wetlands area. It's also making it awkward to build with because it means I have to delete the water every time to add to this river, which is why the capybara ended up. Oh, I've just spoilt it. Which is why the capybara ended up here. So, but we'll come back to them. Like I said, we're doing it in episode order. So after the caimans, we moved on to the anteaters. Now this is a habitat I am very happy with. I think it looks absolutely lush and gorgeous for them. The seating at the sort of viewing area, maybe not so much. I do like the materials, sort of going from a very white theme to this modern wood and glass, and having a sort of two-tier seating area I do like, so you can get different views of the animals depending on where you stand. From up here you can see a bit more into the sort of divot there, whereas from down here you get a better view into their shelter and stuff. So I'm happy with that viewpoint. I just think it could do with a bit more of a facade on it. And the staff building, I really like this. I like the sort of I don't want to say useless, but I don't want to say useless. Unnecessary water feature. I think that's very much a sort of modernist architecture thing of just, why don't we just slap some water in it? And then we've come through here. We've got a nice busy staff area with lots of stuff waiting to be sorted. A little checklist, hose pipe and everything into the anteater's habitat. We've got a little baby, and then it's split into with fences so they have their own little sleeping compartments. And then if we just fly over the habitat, you can see it's absolutely covered in foliage. It is currently, the fence is basically these reeds here because the anteaters can't actually get through them. Whether that's realistic or not, probably not, but it works for what we need. So I'm happy with that. I think there would be sort of an implied fence, maybe some sort of electric fence or something on the other side. But for now, it works and it looks great from over here. You can see a little bit of a fence here. So you can stand here and see them from all different angles. So yeah, really happy with that. And this sort of rock wall here as well. So after the anteaters, we had the cougars. So two very different species here. This building here, yeah, I go back and forth on this building a lot every time I look at it, because I think it's very, very brutalist rather than modernist, which isn't quite what I was going for. I wanted everything to be very bright and tropical. So this is definitely something that will get revisited at some point. I will be honest, the cougar habitat was built, I think I built it during the second heat wave in the UK, so that might explain why some of it looks a bit rushed, because I was very warm when recording it. So that's my excuse anyway. I still think it turned out okay. I think it looks very heavy duty, which is exactly what I was going for. That's fine. We'll sort that later. Yeah, it's very heavy duty on the outside, which is kind of what I was looking for. I wanted to make sure people understood just how dangerous cougars are. Don't. I still like that episode title. I don't know if YouTube liked it, but I liked it. And the staff building itself, I'm happy with the bars and everything. It looks very sort of heavy duty as well. And then they've got this big open indoor shelter. Maybe need a bit of climbing in there just to give them something. But and we had this grating here because they wouldn't stop escaping. So. And then a funky little viewing habitat here with some different, kind of a round window or a square window. It's just something a bit different, which I like. So, yeah, I do like this habitat. I just think the building needs a bit more work. And the habitat itself, I've tried to get some elevation change and some different planting, which I think works, but maybe just needs a bit of cleaning up. You can see here it's very sparse in the middle. I mean, it's fine for them, but yeah, I think it could do with a little bit better. I was going to say, I'm going to guess it's this water that isn't very clean, but they can't get to it anyway, so that's fine. And then we built this little shaded viewing area with some planting. As you can see, I worked really hard on this, and no one wants to use it, so that's very Planet Zoo of it, really. And then finally, I didn't actually mention this little random bit. I don't know why I like this so much, this little, I don't want to say statue or feature, it's just some curved wood with a rock in it, but for some reason I really like that. I think that really fits with the zoo theme, so we're going to be adding more of these as we get further into the zoo. And then finally, in the most recent episode, as I already mentioned, the capybara. Now this habitat looks very nice. Lots of rock work, lots of busy riverbank work, and the guests are allowed to enter this because capybaras are just so chill. They do need a bit more hard shelter, which I knew about, and I believe the water is probably also outside the yeah, just a bit. Okay, that's something for me to work on off camera, but in fact I'm going to pause it before any of them get sick. So, oh no, I'll keep it playing because we've just had a baby. In fact, we've had two babies. There we go. Now you can all be happy seeing some capybara babies. That'll distract from my terrible zookeeping. So again, similar to the anteater, it's a very lush habitat, lots of very sunken plants to make everything look very busy. Lots of reed work, lots of smaller plants, and then one big tree in the middle. I think works well for this habitat, gives it a sort of focal point to it, and obviously guests can actually enter the habitat and walk through. So this is our only walkthrough exhibit so far. It might be something we look at to do more of, but the capybaras are just so chill, I thought it made sense. So they do need more hard shelter. At the moment they've just got this little lean-to essentially against the barrier. We may look to sort of expand their habitat slightly this way, because I did try and cram it into this corner. I didn't actually mention the caiman viewing habitat because, again, no one's using it, but I'm quite happy with that because it also leads to a staff area that's got quite a lot of activity going on in it. But yeah, they've got their own little area here with a nice seating area, which of course, again, no one uses. Thanks, Planet Zoo. So yeah, this needs a bit of work, but overall, I'm happy with how it looks. And that is everything in Amazona Futuro. That's the first time I've said it out loud in a while. So Amazona Futuro. There we go. Overall, I think this zoo is developing nicely. Maybe we've got away from the theme a little bit, which is something I'm going to address in the next few episodes, get some more buildings in with this sort of tropical modernist architecture. I can't reveal what those species are going to be, mainly because I haven't actually picked them yet. I've got a few ideas, but yeah, I don't know for definite. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this zoo's turning out. I think it's accomplishing what I wanted, and it's been a great sort of first series for me to come back onto YouTube with not full time, but you know what I mean, regular content. Obviously, there's some other Planet Zoo series going on at the same time, but I think this will always be the flagship series, if you will. So hopefully you're enjoying it, and hopefully you've enjoyed this different sort of look at it, being able to get a bit closer. You know, I've tried to point out where things haven't worked or things that need cleaning up. I always like to be honest with these builds. I'm not by any means a professional Planet Zoo builder. I'm not the best builder on YouTube. I don't even think I'm that good at building, to be honest, but that's why I like to show what works and what doesn't work. You know, I'm looking at this building thinking I'm really happy with this. Some people might think that looks rubbish, and some people might think, you know, how the heck did he make that? So I'm happy in that sort of middle ground. So yeah, I'm just rabbiting now. So I shall leave you now with some hopefully cinematic shots of the whole zoo, and I will see you next time.